How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, January 2nd, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an elite profile on Fernando Tatis, who just turned 22. He is the starting shortstop for the San Diego Padres, and already at such a young age, he's making an impact on the league that I think won't, and I think is his dominance over the league is not going to go out for a while, barring serious injury or just like anything else that goes on in his life. But if you guys are unfamiliar with Fernando Tatis, I made a profile about him last year, and I think his elite play has carried him into me making a profile for him this year. If you're unfamiliar of who Fernando Tatis is, he is a Dominican professional shortstop for the San Diego Padres. He debuted in 2019, so he's very young. But just to give a little bit of background, he was the number 2 overall prospect in 2018 behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if I'm correct. And then in 2019, he made his first start. He finally got called up to the San Diego Padres from the beginning, but then he got sidelined at the end. At the end of the season, he finished hitting, or at the end of the season, he would finish up playing 84 games for the San Diego Padres in a season where they finished 5th in the NL West with a 70-92 record. But also in his rookie season, in 84 games, he would put up 106 hits. He would put up more hits than games played. 61 runs in those 84 games, along with 22 home runs, 53 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, all in half of a season. So, I mean, if you double those, it's 44 and 106. But, of course, just continuing on. He would finish batting with a 317 batting average his rookie season, with a 969 OPS, which is on base plus slugging percentage. He would finish 3rd in the Rookie of the Year conversation, even though he played half the season. He finished behind Mike Soroka, the up-and-coming elite starting pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, and he also finished behind Pete Alonso, the elite first baseman from the New York Mets. But that was his age 20 season, and even though he didn't play the full season, he had shown the league that he was one of the best young players in the league. So jumping into 2021, of course, if you're familiar with the 2021 baseball season, they had to shorten it because of COVID, so it was only 60 games. And then they even extended the playoffs for baseball from 5 teams to 8 teams, and then they just made everyone play in the wild card. So with that said, in his age 21 MLB season, still 21 years old, he just turned 22 today. In his age 21 season, the most recent season for Fernando Tatis, he would play 59 games in a season where the San Diego Padres would finish 37-23 with the second best record in the entire National League. But they had the 5th seed in the playoffs because they had the 4th seed in the playoffs because they finished behind the Los Angeles Dodgers in the division. And in this season, Fernando Tatis, in the 59 games, he put up 62 hits in those 59 games, still more hits than games, for the second straight time in his career. He had 50 runs in 59 games, which is almost as much as he had in the previous year. He had 11 doubles, 17 home runs, and 45 RBIs, 2 of which were, and at some point he was leading the league in both home runs and the National League in home runs and RBIs for a chunk of the season. He also finished with 11 stolen bases. Second time in his career he had double-digit steals. And then he would finish with a 277 batting average. Not as good as the previous season, but he was still hitting pretty well. And then his OPS would be 937, just a tick down from the previous year. But this time he'd be recognized for his elite play. In his age 21 season, before making it to the playoffs, he was named a Silver Slugger for the first time in his career as he finished 4th in MVP voting. And for the second ever All-MLB team, the 2020 team, he was named to the first team at shortstop, which is a very big accomplishment considering he just turned 22 today. And just knowing how baseball players age, he has at least a good year of his career left. And then following this season and following this incredible regular season where he kind of showed the MLB that he was a force to be reckoned with, the San Diego Padres would end up beating the Cardinals in the NL wild card 2-1, and then they would get swept by the Dodgers in the second round. But of course, that was Tatis's first and only playoff appearance to date. And if you're familiar, but one of the things I like about Fernando Tatis, just looking at where he is right now, he is a 22-year-old player that who's been named to an All-MLB first team as silver, and he's been given a Silver Slugger. And had there been an All-Star game, he definitely would have been an All-Star in his second year in his career. He's incredibly big, or he's big. He's very rangy. He plays incredible defense, and he's probably one of the better defensive shortstops in the game. But of course, where he makes his money is at the plate. He doesn't strike out a lot. He hits a lot of home runs, and he does a really good job of making contact. He has a really high exit velocity. He hits balls very, very hard, and considering there are a lot of players that are older than him in this league, elite players that I have on this list that are a lot older than him, I think Fernando Tatis is better than a good amount of players on my list. And looking forward, considering he was born in 1999, I think this Fernando Tatis is definitely a player that can dominate well into the 2030s. And considering he's only 22, there's not much more I can say on him. But of course, as he continues to build his resume, I will have more and more to speak on him, because he's one of the players. He's so young that if he's one of the players that I recommend, like if you don't watch a lot of baseball, or if you're just starting to watch baseball, his is definitely a career to watch. He's definitely like, if he stays away from, if he keeps out of serious injury for the majority of his career, I think this is definitely a player that could see himself getting inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame. But of course, with that said, that takes time, and I want to thank you once again for listening to this piece. Today is Saturday, January 2nd, 2021. And following this profile, I'm going to do a profile on Derrick Henry on the 4th, along with Tony Cruz from Real Madrid and Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs. I want to thank you once again for listening to my piece, and I'll catch you tomorrow following the NBA matchups and everything going on there. And I'll catch you on the 4th with 3 more profiles. With that said, thanks again for listening to my piece. Peace out.